This conference will now be recorded.
lt96.com, password CRM1234 hash. So create component, create single component dynamically. Create components, create multiple component dynamically. The difference between both is that single component, multiple component. And second one is that master brick bracket and all the individual component has to be in the child brackets. Child brick brackets has to be in the child brick brackets. Then we go in the function. A function can have any name. You can give COMP, CMP, BTN, multiple, whatever the function name that you're using. Inside also you have to use the same name. Inside also you have to use the same name. Inside also you have to use the same name. Remember this very well. This is what the class that we are doing yesterday. I'm making it full screen, right? So you can see that there is a master bracket. This is the master bracket, green to green. All your dynamic component has to be within the master bracket. And then we have the childs. These are the child buckets, which has an individual component. Then the second difference is that, right, we use for each. Whatever the name that you use components, you use CC, you use BC, you use AB, you use Rupam. Whatever the name you use, that's exactly you have to follow inside the function. Remember this very well. That's exactly you have to follow while creating the body. Here, because it's an array, one by one, I'm taking and I'm calling it as item and I'm pushing the item. One by one, I'm calling it as an item and I'm pushing at the body. And automatically you can see that a dynamic component gets created. What is the use? Right? These are used whenever you want to, right, create and destroy. Create and destroy mode. Create and destroy mode requirements. That's where you need this. For example, order button. Unless and until the cart has a value, I don't want an order button to be available. I will not create an order button and I'll not disable it. Only when its cart value is greater than 1, quantity is greater than 1, or sorry, quantity is greater than 0, then I will enable the order button. No, order buttons can be created dynamically. And then once you click the order button, right, immediately it should call an action and it should destroy by itself. You second time you shouldn't be able to click the order button. Once you click on order, immediately system should take you to the gateway screen, and even if you click back, the order button shouldn't be there. In such cases, to do such type of requirement, we use what? To handle such type of requirement, we use what? We use dynamic component concepts. Dynamic components concepts. Dynamic component concept. These are different from your, similar to your hide and seek, visible, invisible, right? Aura if. It is equivalent to an aura if, where you want to hide something, right? Aura if. But it is more than hide and disable, right? Here the components will be created, but the only problem is that memory. What are the challenges? The challenges are nothing but memory creation. Dynamic component occupies huge memory, and hence you have to handle those dynamic components effectively. In your project, after the dynamic component is created, after the work is over, you need to make sure that to avoid any type of memory leakage, you have to kill or you have to destroy the dynamic components. It is mandate and must. Destroying, right? Dynamic components. Destroying dynamic components. Destroying dynamic components. Destroying dynamic components. It is must. Right? Destroying dynamic components. Right? So this is what we have seen in dynamic components. Anybody has any questions on dynamic components before I move to the next topic? Important topic for interview perspective? Yes. Tell me.
These dynamic components we use like creating a pop-up, like when you go to list view, when you create new, it will go to open a contact page. Is it a dynamic component or it will create another way?
No, that's not a dynamic component, right? Dynamic components are nothing, but you don't define the component within the component structure. There is nothing called lightning button, right? When you go to the structure, right? When I go to the component bundle consists of 8 elements. Out of them, the first element itself is called component. That's where you design. In my design structure, I will not put those input field, right? I will not have those buttons and everything, right? I will not have those components, right? I will not have those components. These components will be created when required. If I want to accept something, then only I'll create a component. For example, right? Unless until, right? Let's take when I'm capturing a user data, right? One more example, real time. One more example, right? Social security number. Is it required in India? No. Aadhaar card. Is it required in Australia or in US? No. That means as soon as on change, as soon as you select from the drop down India, immediately dynamically a component will be created called input Aadhaar. Input Aadhaar. Input Aadhaar. As soon as you change it to US, immediately system will create a component dynamically, one input field called as enter social security number. Enter social security number. It will create. I don't have a field in my page called as, there is no such field in my page input. In the backend table, yes, there is a field called as social security number, Aadhaar number, but in the front end, I don't have any field displaying those data. I have no fields displaying Aadhaar and social security. I will create this input only if it's required. And for that, I will not create a field called social security and I'll hide it. Or if if country equals to US, then true, else false. I will not do that. There'll be no component. Only when, right, in the runtime environment, when the form is being loaded and somebody selects US, immediately system should show social security number field, right? Social security number field, right? You type social security number. Beside the social security number, I'll have a button called check. Beside the social security number, I will have a button called as check. You select India. You have been entering paint, paint. I'll give you the structure. You can do this as a homework because this is what we recently did. Right? I'll tell you what we did. Right? I will not name the client for whom we did this. My third party client, right? Where in the registration they have name, right? Where they enter a name, they have phone, right? All the details, mobile phone, right? They have right country. As soon as they type the country, let's assume, right? This is how it's working. As soon as they enter the country as India with a drop down box, here it's a drop down, right? It's a drop down, right? Okay, just take it as a drop down, right? Something, a drop down. Whenever they click on it, they select India. Immediately, system will create a dynamic component called Aadhaar. Aadhaar. And one box will come. One box will come like this. Beside the box, I have one more button called as verify. 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 As soon as he clicks on verify, immediately one more box comes in. Enter OTP. enter OTP. As soon as he enters the OTP, verify OTP, right? Enters OTP. He enters the OTP, right? Immediately on this on change itself, we have written on change. As soon as he clicks somewhere outside, or there is a button called as submit. Submit. The button called as verify, submit. 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 Verify and submit. Verify and submit. This whole piece is dynamic component. This whole piece that we created in the page is dynamic component. As soon as he clicks submits, if it's correct, immediately all these are killed. All these orange. Verify is killed, delete, gone. This whole OTP is gone. And it shows the Aadhaar number with XXXXXX. Here. XXXXXX hyphen XXXX hyphen XXXXX hyphen 222 or something like this. This whole piece is dynamically created. Dynamic component. This structure, and then it continues. Address. The form continues. Address. Address. The form continues. Right? Form continues. Finally, the button is save. Lower the final button is save button. Save. He fills the form, save. In between, we have a dynamic component coming in, verifying the Aadhaar, and finally click on save. This is what we implemented using a lightning. Using a lightning requirement, we implemented it for one of the client. One of the client, we implemented it. Right? Lightning component. For their POS, point of sales, for their POS, we have implemented this software in Lightning, where any customer walks in, they will give the Aadhaar card number, and immediately the employee will click on verify. It will say, sir, you received an OTP. Can you please give it to me? Right? Two side. The customer is also able to see what he's filling. He sits in the counter. Opposite side, the person is entering the information, registering this customer. And other side, customer can see whether name is entered correct or not, phone is entered correct or not. Right? So he can. Clear? Got the dynamic component requirement? When you go to the component page, you will not be able to see this. This whole red part is missing. And these are created dynamically. Create components. 2 button, 2 input. 2 button, 2 input. Verify is giving you 2 more dynamic component called OTP and submit. Verify is also calling a logic as well as. So, understood the real-time usage? Yes. Any question? Any question, guys? Yes, no, yes, no.
No
All fine,
questions.
right? Right, that's good.
This is the homework that we have to do.
Yes, you asked. So now you can start doing it. Maybe it might not verify from the Aadhaar system. You have to write an integration API, right?
Okay.
To send a request, and then the OTP comes. You have to send. So the whole API might not work, but at least you can create the structure, right?
Okay.
You can create the structure. Right, now let's go ahead. The next piece today, what are you going to learn? The next thing we are going to learn is called, right, action override. Action override. We will learn action override. Write down action override. Right? Action override. Write down the heading called as action override. What is an action override? First understand. Okay, put a heading called action override and understand. Right? Action override is an alternative of your events. These are your alternative topics. Things you can do with events. Same thing you can do with action overrides also. Things that you can do with the event. Same thing you can do with action override also. Right? So what is this? What is an action override? Action override allows you to directly call a method of a component from a client-side controller. That means another component can call the method of child component. Another component can call a method of a child component. Child component method can be called by parent. Child component method can be called by parent. Action overrides only work in child parent environment. It doesn't work on individual environment. For example, an application event, you remember, there is no parent child combination, right? C1, C2. An action is fired in C1. It can be handled even by C2, right? Everyone can handle left, right, top, bottom, right? But action override works only in child parent environment, right? In single word, this is like a component event, alternative of a component event, where a parent can control, right? A parent can go ahead and control, right? A parent can go ahead and control what? A parent can go ahead and control or pass control a data to child. In event, from child we are passing the value to all direction. From child we are passing the value, child, from a child is firing an event. From there, the event is passing the attribute to all the components. Here it is opposite. From a parent we are passing the data to child. In event, it is from child to parent. Child to parent. From child it will go to parent, parent will go to grandparent. But from a parent in an event, can I get it to the child? Right? Right? If it's only application event, answer is yes. But if it's a component event, right? Can I get the data? Can I get an attribute from a parent to a child? No. It is because component event doesn't support inheritance. It supports only bubbling. Bubbling. No sibling, no inheritance, only its support is bubbling. That means bottom to up. If a data is available in the bottom, it can be accessed. If a property is available in the bottom, the property can be accessed by whom? By father. The property can be enjoyed by grandfather, great grandfather. Opposite. Now, suppose a data is available at great grandfather. I want child to access. Can I use component event? I cannot. I cannot. Because component event doesn't take the data from top to down. It takes the data from down to top. Opposite. It takes the data from down to top, bubbling. It doesn't support inheritance. Now, I have a requirement where the data has to be cascaded through inheritance. What will I do? What will I do? Right? I can use action overrides. I can use action overrides. I can use action overrides. Right? I can use action override. Action override works only in inheritance method. That means every child should have a parent. Inheritance means what? Parent-child relationship. That means when there is a single component, we don't call it inheritance. For inheritance, minimum 2 component is required. Whenever there are 2 components, one has to be child, one has to parent. Parent-child relationship. So action override is an alternative of your component event in an inheritance property from top to bottom. Action override is equivalent to your component event, but in a reverse manner. Component event is down to up, from child to parent, but action override is parent to child. Action override is parent to child inheritance, right? This is called action override, right? Write down the definition. Action override. Action override enables action override enables, just give me a sec here. Okay, right, back, write down. Action override enables, right, to call a method of a component. Action override enables to call a method of a component, method of a component of a component from client side controller, from client side controller, from client side controller, from client side controller, from client side controller by a parent component directly, by a parent component directly. So by a parent component directly. So what is action override? It enables what? It enables to call a method, right, directly from a client side controller by a parent controller. A parent component can directly call a method through a client side controller, right, is called action override, is called action override. Write down. Once I use, you will be able to understand. First point, number one, use aura method, use aura method, use aura method, use aura method, use aura method for action override. Number one, aura method for action override, right? Next point, action override should have public and global access. 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 Right? Now, let's go ahead and see first action override. What is an action override? Let's do practically. Right? Action override. So I go to my Salesforce, keep watching. Do you want to save? Okay, I'm closing it. File, new, lightning component, LC underscore 0906 underscore EG1 underscore ACTION action overrides EG example. Action override example. I will create as child C because it works in a parent-child environment. I'm creating a child component C, example 1 underscore C. Notepad. Let me save it. Notepad. Let me save it. Click on submit. Right? A component get created. Right? Now, I will declare some attributes. Aura attribute. Name. aura attribute. Name equals to what? Equals to emp name. Attribute name is emp name. Type equals to string. Type equals to string. Control C, Control V. I'm creating one more. Equals to name equals to city. Type equals to string. Perfectly fine. Now, right, I will display this in a lightning card. Lightning card. Title equals to. Title equals to what? Title equals to dynamic. Sorry, not dynamic. ACT ion action override EG example. Right? And I will say that name entered is what? Exclamation v dot employee name. Whatever the name is there, right? Entered. Then a paragraph tag, p tag. Then I will say city entered is what? Exclamation v dot city. Perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. Now what will I do? Right? I will all these two values from where I'm controlling, I will control from the parent. From the parent, I will pass the employee name to the child. Earlier in event, you have seen that from child it going to the parent. Now I will make it from parent to the child. I will make it from parent to the child. I will make it from parent to the child. Right? I will make it from parent to the child. Control S. I'll make it from parent to the child. Right? So to do this, I have to declare aura method. This is the new thing that you're running. Aura method. Aura method. First one new command you have learned today. Aura method. Whenever you want to override an action, we use aura method. What is the name? Name of this equals to call me. Right? Action. Action equals to what? Action equals to what? Exclamation C dot, right? Invoke. C dot invoke. That's the action. Inside the method, I need to pass this name and city. So inside the method also I have to put, because I'll be calling this method. How do you pass a value to a method? By declaring a variable, right? How do you do that? In a method, in a class, right? When you write a class, what do? Right? File, new, apex class, something I'm saying, a. How do you define? This is a class, right? Wait, let it come. How do you define? Oh, it's taking time to load a class. If you remember the apex, we say public static a method name. Public static a method name. Right? Okay, if it's not coming, leave it. Public static method name. Inside a method, you declare a variable, integer x, integer y, or you say integer x, integer y. It can be local variable, it can be method variable. Same thing I'm declaring here. This is the method, right? I say aura attribute. Once again, I'm creating an attribute inside the method. Control C. Inside the method, aura attribute. There I will say name. name. In the component, it's employee name. In the component, it's this. Here, I will say there it's okay. Here also I'm saying city. I can use same name, or I can say EMP city, right? Let me say EMP city, EMP city, Control S, EMP city, EMP city. Aura method, right? Now you can see that my component attributes are employee name, employee city, but whereas my method name are name and city, right? Done, done. Now, right? What is the action? Invoke. Let me go ahead and write an invoke. This is how you write an aura method. Invoke. Whenever somebody is calling this method, right? Go to the controller. What should happen? What should happen? Right? What should happen? Today my internet is down, guys. My Act Fibernet is down. Right. So I'm on very low bandwidth on the Airtel. Right. Low bandwidth Airtel. So that's the reason you can see that what happened. Nothing is coming up. Control S. Close it. I go here. Setup. Developer console. My internet is very slow. Right. Okay. Let me close. Right. Let me write file. Open Lightning resource. We created a resource what today? 0906. Right. Component. Once again, I'm opening it. Now I go to the controller. Hope that it works. Yes. What is that? Invoke. I copy the invoke. I say my action is invoke. Right. Invoke. Invoke. What I have to do? Right. Now, who will pass the value? Anybody can call this invoke, this method. Anybody can call, any parent can call this method. Parent can call this call me. Whenever they call me, immediately, whenever they're calling this method, this action will be invoked. This script, this function will run. So what I want to do in this function is the question, right? Where always params, remember this. More than one data will be passed in params. Params, you can give anything, where A, B, C, D, where A, where B, doesn't make a difference. Event dot get param, get param. In the bracket, standard keyword called arguments. I will pass the data in the argument. This is the right. This will give you. This gives data from CLN calling components. Bracket parent. From the calling component, I will whatever the data that has been passed, it will be passed as an argument. It will be passed in an argument. Then I will say var name nm equals to. In the argument, it will take more than one data. Params dot name. This will read the name from the argument. Var city equals to params dot city. If you are naming this variable as ABC, then ABC dot name. What is an ABC? It is nothing but argument. Get param argument. This command is standard command. no change. The highlighted command is a standard command, no change. Highlighted command is a standard command, no change. Remember this, no change is a standard command, no change, right? So arguments. From the arguments, I'm reading the name, I'm reading the city. Now, whatever the name and city comes, that I'll pass to my attribute. Simple. component component dot set. Component dot set. What set? Right? Component dot set. What is that? V dot employee name. V dot employee name. Right? Set it to what? Set it to what? Set it to what? Set it to nm. Set it to nm. Next, Control C, Control V. Right? What is that? Set employee next employee city. Right? Right. What is that? Set it to CT. I'm setting to CT. City. Control S. Over. Right? Whatever I'm getting from the argument, I'm reading the variable and I'm setting it. From the argument, I'm reading the variable and I'm setting it. Javanami. Right. From this, I will set this up. Clear? Over. Now, my child controller is done. My child controller is done.
Rupam, in line number 5 and 6, the name and city we are taking from the component, the same name.
Params.
Yeah.
No, we are no. We are not taking from the components. I'm saying get params from the argument I'm taking. From the
No,
argument,
that
from
is
where
clear.
the
Okay,
argument will come.
line number 4 is clear. Okay, from the argument. This name and city variable which you have declared in the last, in the line number 5 and 6, in the line number 5 and 6. So this is coming from the front end.
That
This
should
name.
be the that should be the name of this inside the method. What attribute you have defined? It should
Okay,
come
this
from this
one. Okay.
attribute, right?
Okay. Okay.
Because the param is what the argument is the method argument, and hence I will take the data, right? This name dot name is nothing but the method variable. In the method, it's name. In the method, it's city. So you have to use the same thing here. Dot name dot city. Then only it will read. Otherwise, it will not read from the argument. Argument is a collection. It's an array. From the array, I can find by this Control S. Now, what I will do, I will write one more component, which is a parent component.
Sir, line number 4 is a standard command, right? Event or something.
Line number 4 is a standard. Yes, event dot get param is a standard command.
But here, no need to create event.
No need to create event. Without creating an event, also it works. Okay. No need to create event. Right? It's a standard command. Right? Now, let's go ahead. I'm creating one more component.
Sir, line 6,
right?
semicolon is missing.
Line 6, semicolon is missing. That's correct. There we go. Small mistakes. Let's avoid it. File, right? New lightning component, right? I will say that lightning component LC, right? Underscore 0906 underscore EG1 underscore, right? What is this? I will say parent underscore ACTI1 ActionOverrides override EG. I'm creating a parent now. Control C. From this parent, I will pass the value. From this parent, I will pass the value. Now I created a parent. Okay, it's taking time. There we go. From the parent. In the parent, what I'm saying, first it works only in parent-child combination. That means in the parent, I have to call the child. Then only it will become a parent child, right? What is my child? C. First call it C. It's not that first you have to call, you can call it anywhere. Now, in the parent, I'm creating a button. Lightning button button. I can take an input field here. Whatever the data I'll input, the child will show it. I can do like that also. But no, let me do in a simple way. Label equals to what? Submit. Submit. Right? On click. On click equals to what? On click equals to what? Exclamation. Right? C dot show. Right? Everyone knows it. Control S. Now I'll write the show. Whenever somebody clicks the submit button in the parent, whenever somebody clicks on the submit button on the parent, right? Whenever somebody clicks submit button on the parent, what will happen? Right? I want to write a function. Where? Right? Where? Right? Where? What I will do? I will go ahead and right. So now what I want to do? I want to pass the value to, I want to pass the value to child, right? Now, actually, in the parent, we shouldn't call child like this. I will not call the child component. Let's do this. I will say C colon, right? Okay, let's call the, no problem, Control Z. Okay, let's call the child. Now, I will declare an ID, AURA, aura ID. Aura ID equals to what? Aura ID equals to ONE1. I'm just giving an ID. Calling the child, with the child, I'm declaring an ID called as 1. Okay, not now, later, go. Right. So I'm calling the child and I'm declaring an ID called 1, Control S. Right? Now I go here. Where what? Find the child first. Equals to. How to get a child? I can say component component dot find. This is how you find by an aura ID. Component dot find. Component dot find what? What was ID that I declared? I declared what is ID? ID is 1. I'm calling the child component inside my controller in single word. I'm calling the child component that was declared in the parent inside the parent controller by this 1. Now I will say, what is that? Child dot call me. This is the method. In the child, you have a method called as what? You have created a method called as, what is the method name? Method name is call me. Child name, that means class name dot method name. Class name is what? What is the class name? LC underscore 906 underscore example 1 underscore C. This whole is your class or a component. This I'm referring as 1. That means 1 dot inside this C1, inside the child. When I go to the child, I have a method. What is the method name? Method name is call me. That means class name dot method name. The same concept I'm using. Here I'm finding by component dot find 1. What is that 1? 1 is nothing but the component. Which component? The child component, right? So child component. Child, that means component name dot method name. In the method name, there are 2 values. In Apex also we write like this. I will say first attribute is name, RUPUM Rupam, comma. Second attribute is Hyderabad. Child name, right? That means class name dot method name. Control S. Now I'll go ahead and I click on Lightning application. I will say LA underscore. I remove P and everything. I say submit. Right? I'm creating an application. Right? Now I close the application. I say extends. extends to what? Force SLDS, and I will call the parent here C colon. I will call the parent here. What is the parent? This is the parent. What is the parent? This is the parent. Control S. Right? Oh, is it the parent? Okay, extend. What I'm doing? Extend, right? Extend. Force SLDS.
Equals to
Right?
extends equal to, sir.
Equal to
Extend
equal to
equals to force SLDS. Now click on preview. See. Extend. Now name entered, nothing. The top one is child. Whenever I click on submit, from the parent, Rupam and Hyderabad is passed to the child. See, from the parent, show, I'm calling the child. In the child, there is a method called as call me, right? I'm calling the child. That means I'm calling the child class. Component is class now, equal. Component and class are equal. I'm calling the class here, right? Class name dot method name. In that, there are two variables. Inside the child, there is a method called call me. In the method, there is two variables. See, from a parent, I can pass a value to this attribute. From a parent, from upper to lower. Earlier in event, lower, child to parent, but here you see that vice versa, right? Child to parent, vice versa. It's parent to child, right? Parent to child, parent to child. Able to understand, guys? Yes or no? What's happening here? Yes, right? I created a child. In the child, I created a method. In the child, I created a method, right? In the method, I have, right, two attributes. These two attributes value I'm assigning from where? From the parent. From the parent. How? In the parent, first I'm calling, in the component, I'm calling the child and I'm giving an aura ID. I'm calling the child and I'm declaring an aura ID. With an ID in the parent controller, I'm able to find, right? I'm declaring a variable and I'm finding that with an aura ID 1. That is nothing but in other word, I'm calling the child component inside the parent controller. In the parent controller, I'm calling it. So child name dot call me. That means in other word, LC 906 example 1 C dot call me, and in that I'm passing the variable. In that I'm passing the variable. In that I'm passing the variable. Yes, tell me.
Can we say the aura ID is the substitute of the child name?
Aura ID is the substitute of child name. That's correct. Yes. It is equal to child. Aura ID is
So,
what? To find this component.
so rather than calling the child again, if you will mention the aura ID in the child component, and if you will
No,
directly call the aura ID, is it possible?
no. How can it be? Right? You are in if you in where you'll put the ID? In the child you'll put the ID.
Yes, yes.
In the child, if you put the ID, then how the system, the same ID can be there in another component also. No, you can create one more component. There also there can be same ID called call me.
Okay,
How the
okay.
system will understand that? Now which component to call? There are 100 components. Let's assume that in all the 100 component, I'm using the same ID, right?
Mhm. And
So
rather than
you have to
doing
be precise.
the value and like when you are entering the Rupam and the digits, we can like you have did hard coded the value, right?
So why? See,
We can.
currently I'm showing you the example. Go ahead with
Uh-huh.
lightning input, right?
Okay, okay, okay.
Declare a variable component dot get the value and then say that v dot name. What is the big difference? You want lightning input. Now don't ask me all these things. You are already doing it. INPUT output, lightning input, right? Declare in the parent also some right attributes, right? In parent also declare some attributes. Control C. These things don't ask me, guys. Now, by now, you should be knowing it very well. How to do it? En, right? EC, right? Lightning input, label. Label equals to what? Name, value. Value equals to what? Value equals to what? Exclamation, V dot En. Control C, Control V. I'm showing you hard coded. By now, you shouldn't ask me that, Rupam. Why are you hard coding it? Right? You should be. You are coming to end of this lightning class, so don't even ask these questions. Right? Right? PLAC place. Control S. Now, what happened? What happened? Did I made any mistake anywhere? Just check it out. Or attribute in the component. Control S. I'm
Lightning
saving it.
spelling, the 9
Lightning
and 10.
spelling is wrong. Right? LIGHTNING, lightning. Right? Control C, Control V. Okay. Control V, Control C, Control V, Control S. Now let's save it. Hope that there is no error. Right? Now I can go to my controller. I can say before I pass the value, I can say var var a equals to component component dot get what? Get v dot what? V dot en. Whatever the data that you're passing to this. Similarly, var b equals to v dot what is that? ec. V dot ec. Pass the value here. En a comma b. Come on, guys. A comma b over. Right? These things you shouldn't be raising questions. Right? Now in the parent component, I enter the data. That data name RUPUM Rupam. Place CHENNAI Chennai. Submit. It will be passed there. I didn't hard coded anything. Just give me a sec, guys. I'll just get some water. Okay, give me a sec.
This
Okay, I'm
conference
back,
will
guys.
now be recorded.
Right, got it? Everyone? Yes, everyone got it? From the parent, I'm passing the value to the child. Right? Whenever you want to pass a value from a parent to a child, we cannot use events. We cannot use events. We can, or even if I use a application event, because application events support inheritance, application events support bubbling, application event supports, right, siblings. But that is a little complicated. I can go by this aura method, another alternative, right? If it's a component event, then I have no other option but to go by aura method only. Because component event supports bubbling bottom to up. But here I'm doing opposite. From parent to child, I'm passing the data. From parent to child, I'm passing the data, right? So this is a parent component. I'm filling the data. I hit the submit on the parent component. Who is reacting? Child is reacting. Through what? Through action override. How can we get an action override? Using aura method. Using aura method. You have to have a method name and you need to write an action. What happens to this method? Right? And you can go ahead. What you can do? You can declare some attributes. So from the parent, you can, whenever somebody is calling this, immediately this action will be also invoked. Whenever somebody is calling me, yes, and passing a data, what do you want me to do? In the child controller, we have said, first read the parameters, whatever the parent has passed, and then set the parameter to the respective values. Set the parameter to the respective values. Clear? set the parameter to the respective values. Everyone clear what I'm doing? Yes?
Yes.
Right? Any question, guys?
If you have to choose
Because
between the this application event and this uh, action override, so which one will be more appropriate?
application event. Events are more superior, right? Events are more superior, and events can be expanded. Today, my requirement is what? From parent to child. Tomorrow, I want parent to parent as well as parent to child. Can I extend? Now I've written this program. Component is delivered. Tomorrow, if a change request comes in, saying that Rupam, not only the child should react, there is another component called as LC underscore 906 underscore P2. Both are parent to parent. Can I use action override from parent to parent? No. Parent to parent?
When you say parent child, are you referring to master detail?
No. I'm not going in there in your master detail concept. What is a parent? What is a child? When I say
Okay,
parent a child, what does that mean? That means inside P I'm calling C.
okay.
Whenever I'm calling the C inside P, then P became a parent because this is a P. Orange highlighted is P. Inside P, you see at line number 5, I'm calling C. That means C is a child, and wherever I'm calling is a parent. Where I'm calling in P. P is the component. In the P component, line number 5 is what? I'm calling another component. So this became child,
Okay, thank you.
right? That means without calling this, my overrides will not work. I have a so this is fine. I'm calling it. See, now suppose I have an individual component which I will directly call in the application. One more component which I'm not calling inside parent. C colon LC. Will it work now? Will the data can be passed to this component also? Let's say that P2. Let's assume. Can it? No. You cannot. Because these two are inside the P, there is a C. So hence they are working. But inside P2, I'm not calling C. C has no link with P2. Without any link, I cannot pass. But an event, without a link also you can pass. You have observed the event, right? Event diagram when I was showing you,
Yes.
right? Without a link, also it can pass. Once again, I'm showing you. So tell me which one is superior. Obviously, your right, your event is superior, right? So this is P. Inside the P, there is a C. Inside the P, there is a C. There is a one more P. When C is changing, P is reacting. Agreed. But I want that when C is right, C, when C has something, even both, right, you can see that the next box has nothing to do. They are completely individual. And this is also to react. Can I do with an action override? No. Action override will support only in this case. Oh, sorry. Action override will support only this. What? Where there's a parent child. Action override. Action override is always downwards from parent to child. Sorry. From parent to child. Parent to child. That means this view cannot pass a data from this. Can I pass a data from external to the child? No, I cannot. That means in action override, this whole piece doesn't work. Only if it's box inside box inside box inside box, then only it will work. Something like this. So something like this. It works. Action override only works like this. There is a child, orange. I'm coloring as orange. Then there is a blue. I'm coloring at blue. Then there is a purple. I can pass a data from purple to blue, blue to orange, but I cannot pass a data to green. Here, it's a parent-child relationship. One is calling inside other. That's exactly what I was trying to show you. Here, inside the P, I have C calling, but inside P2, I'm neither calling P, neither calling C. So can I pass the data from P to P2? Can I pass the data from P to P2? No, I cannot. Just give me a second. Right, okay. Can I call it? No, I cannot. Right? I cannot. From P, I cannot pass the data to P2. The same diagram I was explaining. From P, I cannot pass a data to P2. Right? Hence, which one is appropriate? Right? Always it's the event which is appropriate to use in real time. What is the use of action override? Only when it is parent-child relationship, grandparent to parent, parent to child, great grandparent to grandparent, grandparent to parent, parent to child. Only in such case, yes. If you have the requirement restricted only to this, I want a data to pass from, right? I want the data to pass from where, right? From grandparent to parent, from there to child. Then you use action overrides. That is a usage. That is the reason I called you it's an alternative, but in a reverse direction, not as a full alternative, right? However, which one to choose? Always choose event. Like this also you can do it. But if you do in this way, then tomorrow if you want to extend it, you cannot extend. You cannot extend. Clear? Right? Next class, we will start about lightning interface. Lightning interfaces. File. Next class, I will talk about lightning interfaces. File. New. You see lightning interface? We are yet to complete lightning interface and lightning token. Right? Let's complete those first. Lightning interfaces and lightning token. Clear? So next class, we will see same concept, something little different. How to share data across components. I can share the data by event. I can share a data by action override. I can share an action override whenever there's a parent child. Event, if it's application, all direction, I can share the data. Is there any other way to share the data, Rupam? Without the event, I have to write an event handler, I have to write a listener, I have to write event.fire, there I have to get the event. Why this complexity? Is there any other simple way to share the data? Today we have seen action override to share the data. We have seen action override to share the data. Right? Any other way? Tomorrow we will see even. Right? We will see interfaces. We will see interface.
That is alternative to application event, right, sir?
Not an alternative. It's a data sharing mechanism. See, everybody has its own advantage.
Is there any alternative
no.
for application?
Perfect, exact alternative? No. There is no concept has an exact alternative. Some of the features might override. For example, data sharing. Data sharing, right, across the component. How can I do that? I can do that by event. I can do that by interface. I can do that by action override. There are 3 ways to share data across components. There are 3 ways to go ahead. There are 3 ways to handle this. Whenever you want to have a data sharing, there are 3 ways to share the data. There are 3 ways to share the data. Right? There are 3 ways to share the data. So one is by event. Today you have seen that how can I share the data from parent to child? That I can do it by what? I can do with the action override. Tomorrow we will see by interfaces. How to choose? It's your decision. Sir, which one to choose? I don't know. I can't tell you which one to choose. Depending on the situation, scenario, cases, you have to decide which one to choose. You have to decide which one to choose. Right? You have to decide which one to choose. Clear? Everyone? Yes or no?
Yes.
Right? Mostly we choose event. Mostly we choose event and then interface. Let us see the interface tomorrow. Then we'll discuss that which one to choose. Okay, Bhupam, you can't tell which one to use, but at least in real time, which one is used most? Right? Then I will tell you that yes, event is used most and interfaces are used most. We don't use action overrides. Right? So that's it for today. Go ahead, rewrite the action override program, try to control the parent or try to pass the data from parent to child and control the child, right? Now, homework. I'll give you homework for this. File, new, action override homework. Don't save. Parent component. In that, I have child component. Right? In the parent component, I'm filling the data. Name, phone, fax, fax. Two levels of homeworks I'm giving you. Name, phone, fax. In the parent, you enter the name. In the parent, oops, sorry. Phone, fax. This is the parent. On the parent, you have a button called as submit. Submit. Whenever you click the submit, this data has to be passed to the child. From the child, right, I have to display the data. I have to display the data. Should I give you a complex homework or simple homework? You tell me first.
Give the
You tell me
complex one.
first. Okay, first let me give you the simple one and then I'll make the complex one. Simple one. Here, name entered. Name entered. Right? Next, phone entered. Next, fax entered. Right? Entered. I want whatever the data that you put here, display. Along with that, right? I want, right? SFDC ID. Two components. Remember this. The earlier one, fillet, control Z. What happened? Sorry? Oh, white color one, color one. Yellow is the parent component. In the parent component, you would be, right, filling the information. The green is a child component. Whenever you fill the data, right, let me see that I fill the data called Rupam Tech. Phone number. I fill the phone number 888888. Fax. 9999. I fill the data. Immediately the name entered is RUPM Rupam TCH Tech. Phone entered is 888888. Fax entered was 99999. SFTC ID is 00120000XJGG something. That means immediately you have to write a server-side controller. Whether you write server-side controller, whether you write LDS, LDS programming approach you take, I don't mind. Server-side controller or LDS, your wish, LDS programming approach. Whichever you take, I don't mind. Whatever the data you're entering should flow from here to here. From here, the data has to go to the server side. From there, the data has to be saved in the database. This is your database. The data has to flow to the database. Database, after saving, will return the ID to the method class. Method should return the data to the page, and I should be able to see the ID here. That is what I want to see, this ID. First homework, using action override. From the parent, it should go to the child. Everybody clear the homework. Action override. In the child, there is no button. I click the button on submit. This whole server-side controller has to be called within the submit button only. Through the submit button. How can you call is the question. How can you call is the question. Action override, right? Action override. Action override. Action override. Understood the homework? Yes, everyone. In the parent, I fill the data, I hit the submit. There is no server-side controller in the parent. The server-side controller I have connected in the child. Child is interacting, whether you write SSC, write class with aura enabled, or you write LDS. There are two approaches now. No, Rupam, I don't want to write any server-side controller. From the client side only, I want to create. Then you know how to create a record. You created an account with LDS, right? Go ahead. Submit the data through the one which you created. And result.id will give you the ID back. With that ID, you can display the ID here on the screen. Easiest is, recommended is LDS. Don't use server side. You can, if you want, do the homework twice, one with server side, one with LDS. It will be more experience to you. I want this to be created. I fill the form somewhere. I see that the data get entered in another component, and that component is actually contacting the database and storing the data. Clear? Homework? Everyone?
Yes.
Right? How many of you feel that they can do it? How many of you can feel that they can do it?
Yes, I can.
Right? So do it. Use your brain, guys. I'm saving it in your folder and I'm posting in the chat now. Well, LT96, ACTIO in action, OVR over, RID, action override, HW. Do this with an action override. I'm posting in the chatter so that if somebody wants to review this homework, can do so. chatter, 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 chatter. Right. Guys, able to understand whatever I'm doing here? Yes or no? Everyone. Yes. I know that there is a confusion. It'll always be there because these are something new. Which one to use, right? What is the difference between these two, right? Once you start doing the practice, guys, then only you'll be able to understand. 96. Where is 96? 1896. So please start doing the practice, right? Uploading the image. Done. All right. I will say action override. ACTI1 action OVRRID action override homework. Share. There we go. Your action override homework has been shared on the. This is the diagram that you have to follow and you have to start doing it. Right?
Yes, sir.
That's it for today. Let's meet tomorrow and we will start interface. We will start interfaces. Right? Lightning interfaces. Thank you guys. Have a nice and wonderful day. Let's meet tomorrow at the same time. Bye-bye, guys.
This conference will now be recorded.